Most people think they'll need $1.5 million or even more to retire comfortably. But here's the fact. Most Americans have less than $1,000 saved right now. So either we're all completely screwed or someone's doing the math wrong. Today, I'm revealing exactly how much money you need to never work again. And the answer might surprise you, terrify you, or maybe even give you hope. Let's find out which one it is. Section 1. The Retirement Reality Check. Imagine you're 67 years old, you've worked your entire life, and you finally get to walk away from your job forever. Sounds amazing, right? But there's one problem. Your money needs to last for the next 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. And unlike your paycheck, there's no boss signing off on more money when you run out. This is where most people's retirement dreams turn into nightmares. Because here's what nobody tells you about retirement. It's not just about having money, it's about having enough money that keeps working for you even when you're not working at all. Retirement is like building a money machine that spits out cash every month for the rest of your life. The question isn't just how much cash you need, it's how big does that machine need to be to keep running forever without breaking down. So, let's crack the code with the 4% rule. Section 2. The famous 4% rule. Back in the 1990s, a financial advisor stumbled onto something that changed retirement planning forever. He called it the 4% rule, and it's basically the golden standard for figuring out if you'll die rich or die broke. Here's how it works, and I promise this is simpler than it sounds. Let's say you've saved up $1 million for retirement. The 4% rule says you can safely take out 4% of that money in your first year of retirement. That's $40,000. Then every year after that, you adjust for inflation and keep taking out roughly the same amount. If you stick to this formula and invest your money in a mix of stocks and bonds, half and half works great. You should never run out of money. Even if the stock market crashes, even if inflation goes crazy, even if everything goes wrong at the worst possible time in history. But here's something recent that's changed the retirement math for everyone. Stubbornly high inflation and rising interest rates. After decades of low inflation, prices have surged in recent years, from groceries to healthcare. Meanwhile, higher interest rates mean safer investments like bonds and savings accounts now pay better returns. For retirees, this is a double-edged sword. Your cost of living is higher, but your money machine might earn a bit more if you invest smartly. Financial planners now say it's more important than ever to regularly revisit your plan and adjust your withdrawal rate instead of setting it once and forgetting it. However, the 4% rule was designed for people who retire at 65 and need their money to last 30 years. But what if you want to retire at 40? Or what if you live to be 100? Suddenly that 4% starts looking a lot less safe. Let's check what you should do if you want to retire earlier. Section 3. The early retirement problem. More and more people today don't want to wait until they're 65 to retire. They want financial freedom in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. Social media is full of people who retired at 35 and are living their best life on a beach somewhere. But if you want to retire early, the 4% rule becomes your enemy. Because instead of planning for 30 years of retirement, you might need to plan for 50 or even 60 years. That's a lot more birthdays to pay for. Recent research shows that if you want your money to last 40 years instead of 30, you can't take out 4% anymore. Let me put this in perspective. With the 4% rule, $1 million gives you $40,000 a year to live on. But with the 2.5% rule for early retirement, that same million only gives you $25,000 a year. Suddenly, that beach retirement is looking a lot more like a camping trip. Section 4. The spending patterns. Now comes the part where we get personal. How much money do you actually need to live the life you want in retirement? This is where most people either way overestimate or completely underestimate their needs. There's this thing called the 80% rule that financial advisors love to throw around. It says whatever you're making now, you'll probably need about 80% of that in retirement. Making $100,000 a year? Plan for $80,000 in retirement. But here's the thing. This rule is kind of lazy. It assumes everyone lives the same way, wants the same things, and has the same dreams for retirement. In reality, some people want to travel the world and live it up, while others just want to stay home, garden, and binge-watch Netflix. Recent data shows that most retirees actually spend way less than they expected. Housing costs usually drop because people downsize or pay off their mortgages. Transportation costs plummet because you're not commuting to work every day. Entertainment spending often goes down because Let's be honest, you're not trying to impress your coworkers anymore, but healthcare costs skyrocket. We're talking about 15% of your entire retirement budget going just to staying healthy. And unlike other expenses that might go down over time, healthcare costs just keep climbing as you get older. Reports also show housing costs for retirees are going up, especially for those renting instead of owning. And healthcare costs keep climbing faster than inflation, making them an even bigger slice of your retirement budget. It's no longer realistic to assume you'll spend less every year as you age. Planning should factor in rising rent, medical premiums, and long-term care, costs that can easily blow past traditional rules of thumb. Section 5. The math that matters. Alright, let's put all this together and figure out your actual retirement number. This is where the rubber meets the road. Step 1. Decide how long you need your money to last. Retiring at 65? Maybe 30 years is fine. Retiring at 45? You better plan for at least 40 years, maybe more. Step 2. Pick your withdrawal rate based on that timeline. Traditional retirement gets the 4% rule. Early retirement needs something more conservative, like 3% or even 2.5%. Step 3. Figure out how much you actually want to spend each year in retirement. And be honest with yourself. Do you want to travel the world or just chill at home? Step 4. Divide your annual spending by your withdrawal rate. This gives you your magic retirement number. Let's do a real example. Say you want to spend $75,000 a year in retirement, and you're planning for a traditional 30-year retirement using the 4% rule. Take $75,000 and divide it by 0.04. That gives you $1,875,000. That's your target. But what if you want to retire early and need that money to last 40 years? Now you're using a 2.8% withdrawal rate instead. Take that same $75,000 and divide it by 0.028. Suddenly you need $2.68 million. That's almost $1 million more just for retiring 10 years earlier. Section 6. The reality check. Here's where this whole conversation gets real. According to recent surveys, most Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Not $1,000 in retirement savings. $1,000 total. Meanwhile, we're talking about needing almost $2 million to retire comfortably. This massive gap between reality and requirements is why so many people feel hopeless about retirement. The numbers seem impossible, the timeline feels too short, and the whole system appears rigged against regular people. For example, Tom spent most of his life believing he'd need at least $3 million to retire. Every time he checked his savings, he felt sick. He barely had $60,000 at age 50. For years, Tom avoided even thinking about retirement, convinced it was hopeless. But everything changed when he discovered the idea of starting small and letting compound interest do its thing. Tom began saving just $300 a month, adjusted his lifestyle, and planned to keep doing part-time consulting work after 60. Now, at 58, Tom doesn't have $3 million, but he does have a plan, growing investments, and for the first time in years, hope instead of fear. So, instead of being overwhelmed by the final number, focus on the process. Every dollar you save and invest today is working for you tomorrow. Thanks to compound interest, which is basically money-making money, small amounts saved early can turn into massive amounts later. The key insight? You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You just need to start. Even if you can only save $50 a month, that's $50 more than the person doing nothing. Section 7. The smart moves. If you're feeling overwhelmed, here are some moves that can make this whole retirement thing more manageable. First, consider the dynamic spending approach. Instead of taking out the same amount every year no matter what, adjust your spending based on how your investments are doing. Market had a great year? Treat yourself a little. Market crashed? Tighten the belt temporarily. This flexibility can make your money last significantly longer. Second, build a cash cushion. Keep about 2 years of expenses in a boring old savings account, earning whatever interest you can get. This buffer means you won't have to sell your investments at the worst possible time just to pay for groceries. Third, remember that retirement doesn't have to be all or nothing. Maybe you don't want to work your current high-stress job forever, but you might enjoy part-time work doing something you love. Even a small income in retirement can dramatically reduce how much you need saved up. Section 8. The bottom line. There's no perfect retirement number that works for everyone. Your number depends on when you want to retire, how you want to live, how long you expect to live, and how much risk you're comfortable with. The 4% rule is a great starting point, but it's not gospel. The 80% spending rule is helpful guidance, but it's not law. These are tools to help you think through the problem, not rigid formulas that determine your fate. What matters most is starting the conversation with yourself about what retirement actually means to you. Do you want to quit working entirely, or just have the freedom to choose what you work on? Do you want to maintain your current lifestyle, or are you happy scaling back? Do you want to leave money to your kids, or spend your last dollar on your last day? The scariest part about retirement planning isn't the math, it's the uncertainty. We don't know how long we'll live, what the economy will do, or what our future selves will want. But that uncertainty doesn't mean we should do nothing. It means we should prepare for multiple scenarios and stay flexible along the way. Your retirement number isn't just about money, it's about freedom. The freedom to wake up every day and choose how to spend your time. The freedom to say no to things you don't want to do. The freedom to pursue what matters most to you without worrying about paying the bills. So whether your number is 500,000 or 5 million, the goal is the same: building a life where money serves you instead of the other way around. And honestly, that journey starts not with having all the answers, but with asking the right questions. The question isn't really, how much do I need to retire? The real question is, what does freedom look like for me? Once you answer that, the numbers are just math, and math, unlike life, always has a solution. Thanks for watching.